Our MC Kuroda Issei is an ordinary guy who lives by one stubborn rule, which is to always do good no matter what. He helps anyone he can without asking for anything in return, yet fate seems personally offended by his kindness. Every good deed somehow flips into disaster, leaving him on the wrong end of the rope. When he gives all his money to a homeless man, he is rewarded with insults and a perfectly timed bird poop dropping from the sky. When he helps an elderly woman, she panics, labels him a thug, and turns an entire crowd against him. Kuroda barely escapes being lynched, believing the nightmare is finally over. However, it isn't. A pot of flower base sent from heaven directly hit his head, and the same old lady tracks him down and beats him to death with her cane, ending his pitiful life. Kuroda's entire life is left with regrets as he takes his last breath because all he wanted to do was help. By the time Kuroda opens his eyes, he sees himself at the afterlife's gate, where he meets Angel Gabriel. Gabriel tells Kuroda that he is there to tell him where he will be headed next, and to his greatest surprise, Gabriel tells him that his next destination is hell. Kuroda screams out in pain and frustration as he bangs the floor, asking why he spent his whole life doing good only to be rewarded with hell. It then dawns on Gabriel that Kuroda is saying the truth, and some things are not adding up. He immediately decides to look into the matter and he whips out a scale. This is when he figured out that there had been a design flaw because Kuroda's karma was actually inverted. Kuroda is shocked and confused by this, and Gabriel explains to him that every living thing possesses karma energy. Basically, the more good deeds one performs, the more energy surrounding the person shifts in a positive direction. This then increases the likelihood of good things coming back to the individual. However, this is not the case for Kuroda because all the good things he has done have generated negative karma. Gabriel then mentions that this is the cause of his misfortune, thanks to the fact that he has done a lot of good things. Gabriel lets him know that his karma is currently in the worst state that it can, and to put it into perspective, it is worse than that of a heinous criminal. Kuroda is stunned when he hears this, because this means he's going to get the ultimate punishment. Gabriel confirms this, saying he is destined to suffer eternal agony in hell, but then he tells him not to worry because he never abandons those who are under his protection. Being the nice angel that he is, Gabriel assures Kuroda that he is going to find a solution for him. Gabriel then shows him the worlds of the universe, and one of them is Earth. But he tells him that he can't return him to his original world since magic doesn't exist on Earth. In addition, he can't bring back the dead on Earth, which leaves him with just one option, and that is sending him to a totally different world. To help his case, Gabriel tells him that he is going to help him find a world where someone like him exists. He takes a quick search, and Gabriel picks a world with multidimensional magic. Gabriel spots a mage who just tried a forbidden spell, which killed his soul. However, his body is still alive and empty. Gabriel then tells Kuroda that he is going to send him into this body. Kuroda is confused by this, but Gabriel urges him to calm down, assuring him that he will understand everything soon enough. In addition, Gabriel tells him that he is going to give him a small gift as compensation for his inverted karma. This turns out to be ultimate karma, which displays on a status window right in front of Kuroda. The information on the screen tells Kuroda that for every good deed, he gains 100 luck points, and these luck points are temporary. Gabriel then instructs Kuroda to find the White Mage, because he is the only one with the magic to return Kuroda to Earth. Even with this, Kuroda is confused about what to do, and Gabriel tells him that he also doesn't know. Gabriel mentions that he is not allowed to interfere with the things that are happening in the universe. Nonetheless, Gabriel wishes him good luck, hoping that luck stays on his side this time around. As Gabriel sends him off, he offers his sincerest apology for what he has gone through. Kuroda's soul passes through the astral portal, and when he opens his eyes, he finds himself in the mage's body. Kuroda is surprised and impressed that he actually got a second chance at life. Now that he is on his second play, he remembers that his mission is to find the White Mage so he can return to Earth and live a normal life. Kuroda stands up and walks to the mirror, and he is impressed with his new badass look. He is in the middle of this when he hears a loud noise behind him. He walks over to investigate, and what he sees sends a wave of shock through his body. There are thousands of monsters standing in front of him, chanting "Long live the Black Mage," and while he is still trembling from this, a goblin appears behind him, telling him to put on his cloak. The goblin then tells the monsters to cheer for the strongest man in history, who has never performed a good deed in his entire life. Basically, the Black Mage is known for committing the worst atrocities in the world, which is why he is known as the incarnation of evil itself. Because Kuroda cannot process what he is staring at, he runs back inside and shuts the door. His first instinct is to run away because he doesn't know what he is doing among monsters. Suddenly, the goblin from before appears beside him, asking him if he is alright. Kuroda almost faints from the dude's sudden appearance, and he demands to know what he wants from him. The goblin then introduces himself as Grut, telling Kuroda that he is his new advisor, whom he appointed just yesterday. Kuroda immediately asks him to tell him why there are hundreds of monsters in front of his castle. Grut then replies with a smile, telling Kuroda that they are there because he was the one who ordered them to gather. Apparently, the Black Mage was planning on attacking the surrounding villages, which is why he summoned his army. Kuroda freaks out when he hears this, and he tells Grut to cancel everything he has said before. Grut is shocked and confused when he hears this. He immediately blames himself, and surprisingly he flicks his finger to set himself on fire. Kuroda is shocked to see this, and he instinctively unleashes his magic to stop the fire. The moment he does this, the status window informs him that the ultimate karma has been activated. Grut continues acting weird as he goes down on his knees, asking Kuroda to forgive him and grant him the mercy of death. Kuroda is confused by this, and Grut continues by saying everything was his mistake. However, he has no interest in ending up like the previous advisors, whose souls' screams still echo within the castle. Confused, Kuroda asks Grut what he means by this, and Grut points to the wall. Kuroda turns around to see hundreds of heads on the wall, leaving him to scream out, demanding to know what exactly it is that he is looking at. He walks up to the wall with so much disgust that he starts wondering what they all did to deserve such gruesome deaths. He looks closely to see that there are name tiles on the wall and the reason for their deaths. There is one who served as the king's advisor for 6 days, and he was executed for being late. There is another who served as the king's advisor for 13 days, and he was gruesomely eliminated for trying to flee the castle. One even served for just 31 minutes, and was killed just for spitting. Kuroda is stunned to see how evil his former self is, and he immediately tells Grut that he has no intention of harming him. Because of this, Kuroda tells Grut that he has appointed him as his lifelong advisor. Grut is shocked to hear this, and he thanks Kuroda for the appointment. Kuroda then tells him that he has some questions for him, and no matter how strange they seem, he wants Grut to answer everything properly. The first question Kuroda asks him is who he is, and Grut replies that he is the greatest Black Mage in the universe. Kuroda then demands to know his name, and Grut replies that his name is the Black Mage. Kuroda also asks Grut where they are. When Grut hears this, he believes that Kuroda is asking him all these questions to test his knowledge as his advisor. Grut then tells Kuroda that they are currently in his castle, which is an impregnable fortress that rules over the southern lands. Apparently, the castle also serves as the general headquarters for his army. It finally dawns on Kuroda that he is basically reincarnated into an evil dude, and he is now in command of a whole kingdom of monsters. Kuroda then demands to know when he has been the ruler of the southern lands. Grut thinks for a minute and frantically answers that it has been 40 minutes, but Kuroda screams at him, asking him what he means by this. Grut quickly corrects himself, saying he made a mistake. It turns out that he meant to say 40 billion years, but Kuroda doesn't think this is accurate either. With fear written all over his face, Grut says he has failed his master again. He then pulls out a knife, ready to kill himself with it, but Kuroda stops him, telling him to stop being hasty. By stopping Grut from killing himself, the ultimate karma activates again. Kuroda then tells Grut that he is ordering him to continue living no matter what. Kuroda lets him know that he is going to suffer a death worse than all the other advisors if he ever tries to kill himself again. Deep down, Kuroda is only bluffing, since he doesn't even have the guts to do evil. After making sure he has laid out his instructions to Grut, Kuroda remembers what his mission is again, which is to find the White Mage. Kuroda is determined to return to Earth no matter how bad things get because he wants to see his comforter again, and this is no other person but his mom. Kuroda then asks Grut if he can see the status window, but Grut replies that he sees nothing. With this, Kuroda figures out that he is the only one who can see the status window. Kuroda then asks Grut about the White Mage, demanding to know what kind of person he is. The moment this question drops from his mouth, fear creeps through every living thing in the room, including Grut. Grut then replies, saying the White Mage is the most trashiest garbage in the world. Grut continues by assuring Kuroda that he is going to bring him the White Mage's head. Kuroda calmly tells Grut that he appreciates his tenacity, but he is more interested in what kind of magic that the White Mage uses. Grut reveals that the White Mage manipulates multidimensional magic, and he creates massive vortexes that blow away monsters like them into other worlds. When Kuroda hears this, he figures out that he has found a way back to Earth. He then tries to use the multidimensional magic he is staring at on the status window, but the system informs him that it is not compatible with black magic. Since this is the case, he figures out that asking the White Mage for help is the only way out. Kuroda then asks Grut if he thinks the White Mage will be willing to lend him his magic, but Grut replies that the White Mage is his arch-enemy. Grut lets Kuroda know that the White Mage would rather die than help Kuroda. Kuroda already has this figured out, but he believes that he should have a bit of an advantage thanks to the skill he got from Gabriel. Kuroda decides to check out more info on the ultimate karma. The system informs him that by increasing his luck points, the probability of fulfilling his wishes basically increases. With this, Kuroda figures out that he can continue accumulating good deeds. He remembers that he has saved Grut's life twice, which means he is supposed to have 200 points already. He then checks out his total luck points only to see that it is still stuck in 0. He wonders if it is a system bug, and he then decides to check further, only to see that he has the worst karma state. Basically, he has an eternal curse placed on him, which is why his luck is sealed, and luck points cannot be added. Kuroda freaks out when he sees this because, without luck, there is no way he can get multidimensional magic. He is still thinking of what to do when a new quest comes in, telling him that he can lift the curse by performing a special good deed. For the next couple of days, Kuroda continues accumulating good deeds in the castle, since saving Grut twice doesn't seem to be enough to unlock his sealed luck. In one of his quests to carry out a good deed, he stops his followers from executing a dude, ordering them to release him immediately. The monsters were pissed when they heard this because Kuroda is supposed to be the big bad guy. Grut lets him know that the dude is basically a serial killer, which is why he has to die. Grut explains that releasing him will only get him to commit many more crimes. Before Kuroda can rescind his order, they have released the criminal, and just as Grut said, the dude wastes no time terminating someone. This causes the system to slap him with the bad action, and because of this, Kuroda figures out that accumulating a good deed in the castle might be an impossible mission. He decides that he has to find another way to perform the said special good deed, so he can let his mother know that he is still alive. In his quest to do this, Kuroda leaves the castle, and he heads to the Western Territory. Upon getting to the outskirts of the territory, Grut asks him if he is really sure that he wants to enter the Western Territory because they don't know when the soldiers might attack. Even with how dangerous the whole thing appears to be, Kuroda doesn't mind, and he tells Grut that they need to continue their journey. Apparently, there is a white mage in the village in front of them, and this person is Kuroda's target. Basically, those who can handle multidimensional magic are the ones from the cult, called the Immaculate Order, and the individual leading the cult is a white mage. Grut mentions that those in the village are disciples, and there is no guarantee that they are going to help them. In fact, Grut believes that they are just going to turn on them. Grut says the only way through is to bribe a mage who was expelled from the order, and Kuroda asks Grut if the mage will take the job. Grut replies that he would probably take the job because he is called Tyrion the Greedy. Apparently, Tyrion was earning money with multidimensional magic, which earned her an expulsion from the order. Kuroda is glad to hear this, since he is a rich black mage who has no problem with money. As they enter the village, they come across a young lad who is sitting by a well, and he looks sad. Being the monster that he is, Grut wastes no time suggesting that they kill the boy. However, Kuroda stops him, saying he has a better idea. Kuroda walks up to the boy, asking him why he is alone in such a dangerous place. Kuroda wants to know if he has no parents, but the boy reveals that he does, but his father took out a huge debt with a mage, which he has to help him pay back. When Kuroda hears this, he asks the boy if he is talking about Tyrion, and the boy nods to confirm this. Kuroda then asks him if he knows where Tyrion is, and the boy replies that everyone is currently watching Tyrion's show at the tavern. Kuroda then tells Grut that it is time they leave, but before then, he has something he has to do. Grut immediately assumes that Kuroda wants him to chop the boy into tiny pieces, but Kuroda stops him, saying he is fine. Kuroda then reaches for his money pouch and brings out a gold coin. He gives the gold coin to the boy, which immediately counts as a good deed. The boy almost passes out from excitement when he sees the gold coin, but Kuroda doesn't seem satisfied, since the system didn't really take what he did as important. Grut, on the other hand, is also surprised that his master is giving a human a gold coin. Kuroda immediately misinterprets what Grut said by assuming that the one gold coin is not enough. Kuroda then decides to hand over the entire money pouch to the boy, leaving the boy the happiest person on the planet. Grut freaks out when he sees this, as he continues to ask himself why Kuroda would do such a thing. Even with this, the seal on Kuroda's luck remains intact, which means everything he just did is still not enough. On the other hand, Grut is questioning all his beliefs because Kuroda is supposed to be the scariest man on the planet, but he is acting really weird. Grut is still thinking about this when he notices that the boy is super grateful for what Kuroda did for him. He even calls Kuroda his hero, and this is when Grut's delusion begins. He assumes that Kuroda is trying to make the boy his successor, and thanks to the money, he has gotten the boy under his thumb so he can continue worshipping him forever as his master. In his delusion, he assumes that the boy would start committing a lot of atrocities in an attempt to get closer to Kuroda, which will eventually make him an ally in ruling the southern lands. Grut is still imagining how everything will play out when Kuroda calls on him, saying that it is time they leave. Moments later, they arrive at the tavern, but there is no sign of Tyrion anywhere. Just then, a bright screen emerges in front of the tavern that immediately catches everyone's attention. Grut urges Kuroda to be careful, because what he is staring at is multidimensional magic. On the other side, two beings, who appear to be in love, are saying farewell to each other. Just as things are about to get to the most interesting part, the screen goes off. The PA system comes on, informing the spectators that they have reached the end of the broadcast. Those who are watching start to freak out because the whole thing cuts off at the best part. The voice from the announcement system tells them to insert a gold coin if they want to restart the multi-dimensional magic and know what is happening in the universe. This immediately starts a riot among the crowd as they start arguing among each other about who is supposed to pay. While they are all bickering among themselves, Kuroda walks up to the machine and he slides in a gold coin. He turns the knob and a bright light appears on the screen. Kuroda is then told to place his hand on the screen and think of the place he would like to observe. Kuroda does as instructed and the magic carries him to Earth. He then thinks deeply of what he actually wants to see, and to his surprise, his mother appears on the screen. Kuroda immediately grabs the screen, screaming out, hoping that his mother would hear him as he tells her that he is fine. Those in the room assume that Kuroda is suffering from a sort of mental illness because he is acting really weird. It turns out that Kuroda's mother is having a really hard time with the passing of her son, and she looks absolutely dejected. The poor woman is finding it difficult to recover, and she visits Kuroda's grave every day, taking flowers along with her. Kuroda's mother steps out of the cemetery and bursts into tears even though she is in a public place. As tears roll out of her eyes, she talks about how much she misses her son. Even those who are watching in the tavern are left bawling out their eyes because the whole thing is too sad. Grut looks up to see that Kuroda is also crying, and before he knows it, tears drop from his own eyes too. Grut is absolutely devastated to see his master broken, even though he believes that it is one of his grand spells and plans. After crying for some minutes, Kuroda makes up his mind that he is not going to accept his fate and watch his mother continue crying the way she is. Kuroda then grabs the screen, screaming at the top of his lungs and asking if his mother can hear him. The light on the screen then starts reacting to Kuroda touching it, and Grut urges him to stay back, saying the multi-dimensional magic might destroy him. However, Kuroda refuses to heed Grut's warning as he continues screaming for his mother to hear him. The announcement then comes on that the safety device is being activated. Kuroda gets caught in it, sending waves of painful magic through his body, but he still refuses to let go of the screen. Kuroda is determined to endure the pain because he believes that he can get through to his mother. He continues screaming, telling his mother that he is still alive, and suddenly it appears that his mother can hear his voice. His mother turns around to see a white image with Kuroda's voice echoing from there. Everything eventually becomes clear, and the poor woman can see her son. She is shocked and confused, but Kuroda assures her that he is the one. Kuroda tells his mother that even though he doesn't have the time to explain what is going on, he urges his mother to stay alive and wait for him to come back. He assures his mother that he is definitely going to return to her. Just then, Kuroda runs out of magic power, ultimately disconnecting him from the screen. Just then, the system informs him that he just carried out a special good deed, which is the mother's love. Kuroda is surprised to see this, and the system informs him that the quest to lift the curse is complete. He was able to do this because he put an end to her mother's grief. The system window displays his karma status, which ultimately changes from the eternal curse to the cursed one. Kuroda is thankful that the eternal curse has finally been lifted. Kuroda is pleased that he can finally use the karma he has received from the angel as compensation. He figures out that his luck will continue to multiply as long as he continues to carry out good deeds. Just then, Kuroda turns around to see that the whole room has erupted in chaos over what they are supposed to watch. Most of those in the room have no money on them again because they have sold everything they have just to access the multidimensional magic. They have gone crazy about the multidimensional magic that they don't mind selling their gold tooth to get access to it. Grut then tells Kuroda that it is time they leave because the multidimensional magic appears to have made the crowd mad. In the midst of the chaos, one of them spills beer on Grut and this pisses him off. He whips out his sword ready to kill as many humans for disrespecting him. Just then, Kuroda smells the beer on his head and he notices that something is totally off. He remembers that he has smelled this somewhere before, and suddenly it dawns on him that it is from the Black Mage's memories. Apparently, his former self had made a similar concoction in the past, and it is basically an addictive elixir. Kuroda then tells Grut to follow him because they need to check the beer barrels. Deep down, Kuroda knows that something is wrong, and he believes that there must be a hidden device tucked away somewhere. Kuroda starts looking around, and he soon finds a tube filled with the addictive elixir, which is connected to the drinks. It turns out that Tyrion spiked the beer with the elixir to make sure that everyone is dependent on her multidimensional magic. Kuroda is not pleased with the fact that people are pouring their wealth into trying to peek at the events happening in every corner of the universe. Kuroda remembers the child from before and he figures out that his father might be among those who are currently wasting money in the tavern. Suddenly, two dudes walk up to Kuroda and Grut, suggesting that they pay for their entertainment since it appears that they have money. Just as usual, Grut is quick to grab his weapon, ready to kill the dudes. But Kuroda stops him, telling him that it is not necessary. Kuroda lets Grut know that he can actually save everyone in the tavern. Kuroda then looks through the Black Mage's memories to try to get the antidote to the elixir. After some minutes of searching, Kuroda finds it, and using his magic power, he activates the antidote. This unleashes a wave of magical energy into everyone in the room. Surprisingly, everyone in the room comes to their senses, and they start demanding to know why they are at the tavern at such a crazy hour. Kuroda also makes sure to purify the entire village with the antidote, ultimately releasing them from Tyrion's bondage. Broken families started fixing up, since there is no crazy urge to use the multidimensional device again. Grut is shocked when he sees everyone in the tavern acting nice and apologizing to each other. It then dawns on him that Kuroda's magic stripped the crowd of all aggression, and just as usual, he creates a delusional reason as to why this happened. He believes that Kuroda did this to make the people docile so they will never think of taking up arms because they were once like lions, but have been downgraded to earthworms. Just then, the system tells Kuroda that he just carried out a good deed, and he has gained luck points. Kuroda is thankful for this because his purification spell helped him gather points. In the end, he is able to gather 238,000 luck points, and Kuroda believes that this will help him use multidimensional magic. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocks the building, and the explosion is accompanied by the mage, Tyrion. It turns out that Tyrion is a woman, and she is pissed that Kuroda is trying to ruin her lucrative business. Grut is shocked when he realizes that Tyrion is a woman, not the big bad dude he was already imagining in his head. Tyrion ignores him and investigates the beer just to confirm what she was already suspecting, in annoyance. She throws away the cup and starts asking the people who purified the drink. Scared that Tyrion might just wipe them out, they start stuttering, replying that they didn't do anything. Tyrion then looks around to properly assess the situation before pointing to Kuroda and Grut. She is still talking about how she hasn't seen the two around when she notices that they have destroyed the elixir bottles already. She casually walks up to Kuroda, asking him if he is a part of the Immaculate Order. In addition, she wants to know if exiling her was not enough for the Order, and they are now planning to throw her in a cell. Suddenly, Kuroda finds himself standing in the middle of a magic circle, and before he can react, Tyrion activates it, releasing a burst of fire. Instead of panicking, Kuroda remembers that he has seen something like this in the Black Mage's memories, and it is called the Flame Circle. With no time to waste, Kuroda goes with his gut and he throws a gold coin to his right. Kuroda is surprised that he did this, which basically meant he was acting based on his intuition. Just then the ultimate karma comes on, and Kuroda is told that he has just 3 minutes. The gold coin ends up breaking a water tap, which spills water everywhere, ultimately quenching Tyrion's fire. Tyrion is shocked, but the same thing can be said for Kuroda too. Kuroda realizes that he subconsciously triggered magic just like when he saved Grut's life. Kuroda is still trying to understand the situation when Grut takes off his cloak because it is on fire. However, he totally forgets that he is in the midst of humans, and this basically exposes the fact that he is a goblin. The crowd goes nuts when they see Grut and they start screaming while demanding that Grut be killed because he is there to steal their harvest. However, Kuroda steps up to protect his subordinate from the angry crowd. Kuroda takes off his cloak, and this is when it dawns on them that the person in front of them is the infamous Black Mage. Immediately, they discover this. They all make a run for it. Even Tyrion is shocked to see the Black Mage at such an awful place. However, Tyrion has no intentions of running away because the bounty on Kuroda's head is 100 billion gold coins. Tyrion believes that she can take on Kuroda because she heard that the Black Mage was weak when he was in the Order. To Tyrion, she sees herself as a filthy rich lady already, as long as she is able to take down Kuroda. At the same time, Kuroda knows he has no chance, since he hasn't mastered the black magic just yet. Since it has come to this, Kuroda figures out that he just has to bet everything on luck. Kuroda then acts tough, walking up to Tyrion and telling her that she is definitely a formidable opponent, but she lacks a little focus. This catches her attention, which causes her to be oblivious to what is happening around her. By the time she understands the situation, there is a fire brewing in the room already. Kuroda wastes no time grabbing Grut and moving with instinct. He jumps through a small window which leads directly into a tank. Just as they land in the tank, the room is engulfed in fire. When the flames calm down a bit, Kuroda slowly lifts up the tank lid to assess the situation. He plans to escape the area while the smoke is still active. After the two exit the tank, they try escaping, but it turns out that the fire didn't kill Tyrion. In fact, she is more pissed than she was some minutes ago. This time around, Kuroda realizes that he is in a big mess because his luck has just 1 minute to run down the clock. He figures out that he has to make a move in 60 seconds to take Tyrion down. Kuroda then employs his usual tactics, reminding Tyrion that he is so powerful that he didn't even need to use his powers against her. Kuroda then asks her if she thinks she has a chance against him. This ends up riling her up and unleashing her fury while telling Kuroda that she is going to make him see why she is not supposed to be underestimated. Just as the fireball is about to hit Kuroda in the face, he trips and falls, helping him escape being barbecued by Tyrion. However, Tyrion is not done with him yet because he has created a big magic circle with the sole aim of annihilating Kuroda. At this point, Kuroda has just 5 seconds left on the clock, and just as Tyrion's final spell hits, Kuroda escapes with 1 second left on the luck clock. Tyrion watches in horror and dismay that she wasn't able to get Kuroda, even with everything that she did. Tyrion ends up falling to her knees, since she has exhausted all of her strength. With no strength to move again, Tyrion believes that she has reached the end of the line and she is about to die. Suddenly, the flames die out, and when she looks around, she realizes that Kuroda just saved her life. However, Grutt is not in agreement with this because he wants them to leave Tyrion to suffer a bit more inside the flames. He basically tells Kuroda that humans are more delicious when they are roasted to medium rare. Kuroda ignores Grutt's complaints and walks up to Tyrion, telling her that he has no intention of leaving her behind. Suddenly, Kuroda finds himself staring into one of the Black Mage's most important memories. Kuroda sees the Black Mage amidst destruction, and he is holding someone dear to him. It turns out that the Black Mage was unable to save this person, and he screams out in agony as he hugs the lifeless body of his loved one. Kuroda is so engrossed in the Black Mage's memories that he forgot that he was holding Tyrion just the same way the Black Mage held his loved one. Suddenly, he feels a soft lip locking with his, and when he opens his eyes, he sees Tyrion kissing him. Kuroda is shocked, demanding to know what Tyrion is doing. Tyrion looks absolutely innocent as she replies that she thought this was what Kuroda wanted from her. Kuroda lets her know that she has everything wrong, and he was only motionless because he was lost in thought. Tyrion then tells Kuroda that she is ready to do whatever he wants because she is not ready to die yet. Kuroda understands where she is coming from, and he lets her know that he has no intention of killing her. Kuroda stretches his hand to Tyrion, asking her to follow him because, as things stand, he needs her power. Without hesitation, Tyrion holds Kuroda's hands, and Kuroda tells Grutt that it is time that they leave. Not long after this, the system informs Kuroda that the ultimate karma has ended, and all luck bonuses have also been consumed. Kuroda is not surprised because he already knows that he is going to exhaust his power. In addition, his luck points have returned to 0. Kuroda then figures out that his luck powers are temporary because of the Cursed One status. However, he is convinced that there is a quest somewhere that can fix this. He checks out the Cursed One's info, and realizes that he is that way because he has committed too many atrocities. Not long after this, they arrive at Tyrion's home, which she told them is not something fantastic. However, Kuroda begs to differ because her house is a freaking mansion, standing alone in the middle of nowhere. Upon entering, Kuroda is almost blinded by all the jewelry in the house, and Kuroda demands to know if Tyrion has been funding her lifestyle with the villagers' money. Tyrion quickly clears the air, saying she did no such thing, while revealing that the house was passed down to her by her parents. However, Grutt is not one to believe such blatant lies. Once they have settled down, Kuroda tells Tyrion that he needs her multidimensional magic because he has to go to another planet. Tyrion speaks out rashly, saying Kuroda must have gone mad, and Grutt wastes no time holding a knife to her neck, urging her to watch her mouth. Tyrion then explains what she means. She reveals that she is just a weakling who doesn't have the power to send Kuroda between worlds. Tyrion mentions that sending someone to another planet requires a vast amount of multidimensional mana, and this is something that is only possible for the White Mage. Tyrion mentions that with her current powers, the best she can do is see the state of other worlds. When Kuroda hears this, he is not surprised because he wasn't expecting it to be easy after all. Nonetheless, he believes that he would be able to pull it off once he is taught the basics of multidimensional magic, since the Black Mage is an incredibly powerful being. Kuroda then tells Tyrion to teach him all the multidimensional magic that she knows, promising to handle the rest himself. Tyrion is surprised to hear this, and she genuinely asks Kuroda if he is an idiot. Just as usual, Grutt is pissed off already, and all he needs is a direct order to poke Tyrion's neck with his short sword. Tyrion then tells Kuroda that his request is a bit odd. Surprisingly, Grutt moves over to tell her that Kuroda is only trying to test her knowledge. Grutt lets her know that she is dead if she gets it all wrong, crippled with the fear that she might die if she messes up. Tyrion lets Kuroda know that she can't teach him the multidimensional magic. In her defense, she tells Kuroda that he is the Black Mage. Kuroda appears confused by this, and Tyrion explains that there are 2 types of magic in this world. There is the white magic, and there is the black magic. Apparently, the more one learns one side of the magic, the more the other side becomes unusable. It then dawns on Kuroda that since he is a master of black magic, he has lost what it takes to practice white magic. Tyrion confirms this, and then adds that multi-dimensional magic is the strongest spell among all white magic spells. Tyrion lets Kuroda know that he has reached the pinnacle of black magic, which makes multi-dimensional magic totally impossible for him to wield. Moments later, they hear a loud noise outside and they stand up to investigate. They stand by the window only to see an angry mob outside the mansion, threatening to kill Tyrion. Grutt freaks out when he sees this, and when they take a closer look, they realize that the villagers are not alone. Tyrion almost shits her pants when she realizes that the mages that accompanied the villagers are from the Immaculate Order. To make it worse, the white mage is with them, and just the mere presence of the man sends waves through Grutt and Tyrion's bodies. Tyrion starts shaking because she believes that they are all dead. Even Kuroda is surprised that the white mage decided to show up, and realizing that he has no chance against him, Kuroda figures out that running is the best option. Kuroda then taps Tyrion on the shoulder, telling her that she is coming with them too. Tyrion wants to disagree, claiming that she can't leave her palace and all the money that she has, but Kuroda drags her along, telling her that he was giving an order, not a request. Just then, they activate a magic circle, and by the time the angry mob made their way into the house, the trio had escaped via a teleportation circle. It turns out that the circle was being powered from inside the circle by Kuroda's men, who were on standby. Kuroda safely makes it back to the castle, and he is pleased that he prepared an escape route with the transfer magic that Grutt helped him set up. Kuroda is still praising the ingenuity of black magic when he suddenly realizes that his subordinates who were powering the magic circle have all collapsed to the ground, and with the look of things, they are dead already. Confused, Kuroda demands to know what is happening, and Grutt casually replies that the group used their lives as the price for transfer magic. Grutt reveals that teleportation is one of the most powerful spells in the goblin world, and by absorbing the life force of the summoned, it can move people through vast distances. Kuroda freaks out when he hears this, and he grabs Grutt, telling him that he should have warned him about this. Grutt subtly replies that he didn't want to trouble Kuroda with such minor details. Kuroda cannot believe that Grutt just classified the lives of some people as minor. To make it worse, Kuroda gets slapped with the bad action tag by the system, telling him that he just carried out an evil deed. In a flashback scene, a young, poor girl, Sylvana, is seen being treated badly as if she were an animal. She was thrown out of her workplace by her boss, who told her not to return just because she accidentally broke a plate. As she walks through the street, she can hear people talk trash about her. Apparently her parents were supposed murderers, and because of this, no one wants to associate themselves with Sylvana. Sylvana was left on the street to suffer, and one night, a greenish entity appeared in front of Sylvana and urged her to eat it. It assures Sylvana that everything will be fine if she does so. Now, in the present day, Kuroda has finally understood how the ultimate karma works. Even though Kuroda struggled really hard, he was able to gather a bit of good deeds in the terrible southern lands. Basically, most of the good deeds were stopping monsters from fighting each other and then making sure that they became friends. Thanks to this, he managed to raise his luck points even though it is not that much. Even with the luck points that he has, he still cannot receive the benefits because of his status as the Cursed One. The only way to release the luck is to activate the ultimate karma. At the moment when the ultimate karma is active, all of his luck points are consumed, and he becomes lucky for as long as the points remain active. He remembers that before his fight with Tyrion, he gained over 200,000 points because he purified a village, and after this, he instinctively activated ultimate karma. For a solid 3 minutes, he was in a state of endless luck, and thanks to this, he was able to defeat Tyrion without any trouble. With what he already knows about the ultimate karma, he figures out that a good deed impacting millions of people would grant him just enough points for him to return to Earth. Because of this, he has made plans. He steps out of his palace to check if Grutt is done with preparations, and Grutt tells him that his horse is ready. Kuroda climbs his horse, and Tyrion wishes him good luck on his journey. Apparently, Kuroda and Grutt are going on a grand adventure to the edge of the kingdom with the plan to accomplish a massive good deed. Kuroda then asks Grutt if he still has the target in mind, and Grutt says yes. It turns out that they are after the evil witch, who is none other than Sylvana. Sylvana is known as the one responsible for creating the world's most deadly disease. Just as Kuroda is about to get serious with the journey, Grutt points to the house in front of them, telling him that they have arrived at their destination. Kuroda is confused by this, but Grutt lets him know that Sylvana lives in the house they are looking at. Kuroda screams at Grutt, reminding him that he said Sylvana lives at the edge of the kingdom. Grutt urges Kuroda to calm down as he takes one more look at the map. This is when Grutt finally realizes that he has found a way to explain rubbish to his master. Kuroda is pissed that Grutt made a house that is just 100 meters away from the castle seem like it was located in heaven. Kuroda then walks into the compound, and he tells Grutt to return to the castle to wait for him. Kuroda walks to the door, and before entering, he figures out that he will be able to save millions if he manages to purify Sylvana. However, the only thing he can pray for is that the antidote works. After taking a deep breath, Kuroda barges into the house with the intention of pouring the antidote on Sylvana's body. However, the moment Sylvana spots Kuroda, she rushes over to hug him, telling him how much she has missed him. This leaves Kuroda in shock because he knows Sylvana believes that he is still the Black Mage. Sylvana then drags Kuroda to her lab room, where she has developed new spores that are ready for deployment. Sylvana takes a few to use as an example and she throws them in the air. The spores immediately travel to the closest human settlement to infect them. With so much, Sylvana tells Kuroda that the new batch of spores will definitely kill millions of people. Kuroda is shocked when he hears Sylvana call millions like it is nothing. Sylvana then reveals that she is directly connected to every spore, which means she can feel the suffering the spores bring to the world. Sylvana thanks Kuroda, saying she has become a strong person because of him. On the other hand, Kuroda is not impressed because Sylvana is causing a lot of harm without realizing it. Kuroda then tells Sylvana that he has prepared a medicine that will make her even stronger. It turns out that Kuroda has researched the disease that is currently spreading, and he believes that by purifying Sylvana, everything will stop. Without hesitation, Sylvana collects the bottle from Kuroda and gulps the contents. After drinking the liquid, Sylvana continues acting normal, and this scares Kuroda because she literally drank everything in the bottle in his presence, but she is not affected. Since he has no idea what is happening, he decides to directly check the core. He uses his magic to conduct an investigation to determine the source of the corruption. Kuroda is shocked when he realizes that the major source is pretty huge. In addition, there are threads connected to the spores, and to make it worse, there are a lot of them. By the time he is done with his investigation, he realizes that the corruption is too strong, and there is no way he can purify something as strong as this. This is when it finally dawns on Kuroda that he has to do something extreme because Sylvana looks like an innocent little girl who just wants to live life. Sylvana is dreaming about the number of people who will die when Kuroda pushes a sword into her chest from behind. Sylvana turns around in shock to see Kuroda crying his eyes out while telling her that this is the only way to go about it. Sylvana is forced to ask Kuroda why he stabbed her, and Kuroda replies that it is the only way to free her from the corruption's control. Sylvana's body crashes to the ground, forcing the greenish entity inhabiting Sylvana to appear in front of Kuroda. It demands to know what Kuroda is doing. It soon dawns on the entity that Kuroda killed the host to weaken it. The entity then asks Kuroda if he has come there to challenge it, but Kuroda replies that he is not there to challenge it, but to destroy it. Kuroda then unleashes the eternal flame, ultimately roasting the entity. The entity screams in pain while promising Kuroda that he is going to regret what he just did. Kuroda only intensifies the fire to make sure that the entity properly dies and vanishes. After Kuroda is done, all of the entities that influence the world start to disappear. Everyone who has fallen sick thanks to the spores provided by the entity starts regaining their health at that very moment. While people are getting healed around the world, Kuroda is getting rewarded with luck points. Kuroda is blown away by the number of points that keep coming just from purifying Sylvana and destroying the evil entity. Before he knew it, his luck points had exceeded 1 billion already. Kuroda is pleased with the number of points he has amassed, and he believes that he can return to Earth with this. Kuroda then carries the dying Sylvana in his arms, telling her that he is going to save her before he returns to Earth. Kuroda activates the ultimate karma, and he is given 3 minutes of maximum luck value. Kuroda is pleased when he realizes that his status at that moment is stated as divine luck. Meanwhile, there is a planet headed for a certain planet. At the same time on the same planet, the White Mage was about to wipe out the entire Centaur tribe. Just as the White Mage's magic is about to hit, the meteor flies past, ultimately deflecting the White Mage's magic. The deflected magic then travels to Sylvana's house and lands there, destroying a portion of the house. Kuroda is shocked and confused by what is happening. Suddenly he sees a screen with his mum in it in front of him, and it dawns on him that the multidimensional magic is active. He immediately figures out that he can use this powerful magic to break through. He urges Sylvana to stay with him while he saves her with incredible power. Kuroda then screams at the screen, telling his mother that he will be back once he saves Sylvana. He tries reaching his mother just like before, but the magic is too strong this time, and he fails to break through. With her dying breath, Sylvana tells Kuroda that there are things that cannot be changed in this world. She lets him know that these things are constant already, even if he holds all the luck in the world. Apparently, one of these things is that he cannot use white magic as long as he is a black mage. Another thing that is impossible to do is to bring back the dead, and after saying this, Sylvana finally dies. Kuroda holds her closely with tears dropping from his eyes. Kuroda refuses to accept the reality, and while he is still sobbing, Sylvana's soul appears in front of him, telling him that she has seen everything. She tells him that she has seen his power and destiny, and the fact that he has been forced to make some really painful choices. Sylvana then tells Kuroda that he might be sad, but he should take comfort in the fact that he set her free. Sylvana mentions that it was never her intention to hurt anyone because all she wanted was to be loved. Sylvana lets Kuroda know that she is grateful for everything, and with this, her soul vanishes. Just then, it dawns on Kuroda that Sylvana was the cause of millions of deaths, and what awaits her is the deepest darkness in hell. With the ultimate karma still active and a minute plus on the clock, Kuroda activates the spell, Astral Ascension, in a bid to make sure that he saves the unluckiest girl on the planet. This spell generates a lot of energy, shattering the ground, as Kuroda prepares for a daring mission. Meanwhile, Sylvana has arrived in the afterlife, and she finds herself in the abyss. The Master of the Abyss tells Sylvana that her soul is withering and is also riddled with emptiness. Sylvana tries to argue her case, saying she was being manipulated by an evil entity. However, what stands before the Lord of the Abyss is that Sylvana is responsible for the death of over 52 million people. Basically, the punishment for this is eternal punishment in purgatory. The Lord of the Abyss then tells Sylvana that there is no way to change her fortune because the record speaks against her. Sylvana continues pleading because she never meant to do any of the things that happened. Sylvana believes that she is being judged unfairly, but the Lord tells Sylvana to wipe her tears because no help is coming for her anywhere. The messengers of the Abyss start to gather around Sylvana, ready to drag her away. Suddenly, a bright light hits the area and it turns out to be Kuroda. He grabs Sylvana and whisks her away before the dark messengers can get to her. The Lord of the Abyss is pissed that someone dared intrude on his kingdom. He immediately orders his angels to go after Kuroda and Sylvana, and at this point, Kuroda has just 1 minute left. Fortunately for Kuroda and Sylvana, the Dark Angels can't touch them, because the ultimate karma is still protecting them. However, the Dark Angels are not to be messed with, as they easily catch up to Kuroda. At the same time, at the summit of the highest mountain in Purgatory, Sisyphus is in the midst of his eternal ordeal. He is seen pushing a large boulder to the summit, and just as he is about to reach the top, he slips, causing the boulder to fall off. The Dark Angels are about to grab Kuroda when the boulder appears just in time to crush them and send them down, giving Kuroda more time to escape. Kuroda is relieved when he sees this, and he calmly continues the journey to Heaven's Gate. However, he gets there to see that there are Dark Angels waiting for him. Kuroda is shocked, since he wasn't expecting them to catch up so fast. The Dark Angels are about to take Kuroda down when they are suddenly hit with a burst of light that scatters them. Kuroda turns around to see that his savior is none other than Angel Gabriel. Gabriel tells Kuroda that he is going to handle the Dark Angels, and he urges Kuroda to leave Sylvana at Heaven's Gate. Kuroda smiles as he approaches the Heaven's Gate, but suddenly he changes his mind. He believes that there is someplace else that suits Sylvana better because she had already suffered when she was still alive. Kuroda then goes past the usual Heaven's Gate and he heads directly for Nirvana. Gabriel panics when he sees this, and he urges Kuroda to stop because Nirvana is a place reserved only for the purest souls in the universe. Gabriel is scared that Kuroda is just going to crash into Nirvana's gate. However, Kuroda continues monitoring the luck clock, and he realizes that he has just 5 seconds left. Even with how risky it is, Kuroda continues moving. Realizing that he won't make it, he hurls Sylvana toward the gate while telling her that she has reached the end of her nightmare. Gabriel panics when he sees this because he believes that Sylvana is just going to shatter into pieces, since there is no possibility of the gate opening. Just as Sylvana is about to crash into the gate starts to open from the inside, shocking Gabriel. A giant dude opens the gate from inside because he heard the commotion on the outside. In that split second, Sylvana is able to enter Nirvana. Sylvana cannot believe her eyes and she turns around to thank Kuroda for everything so far. Gabriel, on the other hand, is left dumbfounded because he didn't believe that she would be able to make it there. The giant golden dude from Nirvana then asks Gabriel why there is a black mage in the environment, but Gabriel quickly tells him that he is going to handle it because it is just a mere misunderstanding. Moments later, Kuroda opens his eyes, and he is finally back in his body. He touches Sylvana's cheek with the hope that she can finally get the happiness that she deserves this time around. Meanwhile, in Nirvana, Sylvana already has friends who are always ready to play with her. They call Sylvana away from where she is playing with sand, and when she stands up, it is discovered that she was drawing an image of Kuroda and Grut into the sand. Back on Earth, Kuroda's mother appears to be doing better than before. When asked if she will visit her son's grave as usual, she replies that there is no need for this, because she believes that her son can hear her from the sky. Meanwhile, Kuroda is stuck watching his mother, thanks to Tyrion's power. Tyrion is surprised that the only thing Kuroda does throughout the day is stare at the screen, watching a strange lady. To Grut, he believes that Kuroda is plotting something evil, which is why he is stuck on the screen. Suddenly, it dawns on Grut that this was the same woman he was looking at back at the tavern, whom he called Mother. Kuroda then tries having a mono-conversation with her mother, telling her that he is doing just fine because he now lives in an incredible castle and even has his own army. When Grut hears this, He assumes that Kuroda is exchanging military intelligence. Thanks to what Kuroda is saying, Grut concludes that the mother is the one who taught Kuroda everything he knows. Without wasting time, Grut concludes that Kuroda and Mother are putting together plans to conquer the universe. Grut then runs to the screen to pledge his allegiance, assuring Kuroda's mother that he will always serve her. On the other hand, Tyrion has a faint idea of what is going on, but she decides not to ruin Grut's delusion. Later on, Kuroda thinks about how tough the situation is because he has been on the damn planet for a couple of months, and he has no way of returning home, even though he can now see his mother from afar. Later on, Kuroda enters the projection room to find Grut watching his mother on his behalf. Grut looks so excited doing this, and Kuroda thanks him for the sincerity. Deep down, Kuroda believes that there is a solution to his problem, since the Black Mage was once a part of the Immaculate Order. Due to this, he is convinced that there will be a way to change him back to a white magic user. Kuroda then assures his mother that he is going to succeed so that they can be together again. After Kuroda is done watching his mother, he tells Tyrion to stop the broadcast so that they can move to the next thing on their plate. The trio starts searching the Black Mage's laboratory, hoping to find something that would be of use. However, nothing seems to be going their way until Tyrion finds a diary written in a strange language. She asks Kuroda if he was the one who wrote it. Kuroda searches through his memories but couldn't find an answer, and he quickly lies that it must have been one of his worshippers, since he has a lot. Tyrion then mentions that the texts in the book are written in ancient demon language, making it difficult for her or Kuroda to even decipher. Tyrion is convinced that they are looking at the handwork of an ancient mage. Because of this, Tyrion is convinced that the person might have a way to purify Kuroda from black magic. Just then, Kuroda notices a signature in the book, and apparently it belongs to someone named Talcum. Kuroda then looks through the Black Mage's memories and realizes that he has met Talcum before. Kuroda mentions that Talcum is a goblin, and he immediately calls on Grut to ask him if he knows anyone named Talcum. Grut subtly replies that Talcum is one of the strongest goblins around because he is a mage. Apparently, he is the chief of the Drogal tribe. Kuroda is glad to hear that Grut knows him well, and he asks him if he can lead him to Talcum. Grut is surprised to hear this, and he lets Kuroda know that his clan doesn't really get along well with the Drogal tribe. Kuroda quickly assures Grut that nothing will happen to him as long as he is with them. Not long after this, the trio arrives at the Drogal tribe, and they are given a warm welcome. Thanks to the Black Mage's memories, Kuroda realizes that he has been to the location plenty of times. Sitting on his throne is Talcum, and he looks pretty dangerous, just as reported. He soon gets off his chair to welcome Kuroda and his attendants. He is surprised that Kuroda brought a white mage, but he is utterly disgusted when he notices Grut, a half-goblin, with Kuroda. To him, half-goblins are only good for chores and nothing more. Talcum then asks Kuroda why he has come to his domain. Kuroda then replies that he came because he needed his knowledge. Kuroda comes clean, revealing his plan to cleanse himself of black magic. Talcum is surprised to hear this, and he asks Kuroda why he would do such a thing. Kuroda simply replies that it is a long story, but it is imperative that he gains the ability to use white magic. Talcum then assures Kuroda that he can make a purification elixir for him. However, there is a condition that needs to be met to complete the elixir. Apparently, an extremely rare ingredient is required, and this ingredient is the body of a white mage. Talcum suggests that they begin the process, since Kuroda already has a white mage with him. Tyrion almost faints when she hears this, but Kuroda steps in, telling Talcum that Tyrion is out of bounds because she is his mage. In addition to this, she has been exiled from the Immaculate Order. Nonetheless, Kuroda assures Talcum that he is going to bring him what he needs in the near future. Once they are both in agreement, Kuroda prepares to leave, and he tells Grut to arrange a military council because they are about to go on a hunt. Kuroda knows that the only way for him to hasten the purification process is to kill a white mage, but he wants to do so in such a way that it will be useful for the people, so it can count as a good deed. Shortly afterward, Kuroda gathers his top members for the military council meeting. Those who are present are Lindell, the financial minister. There is the Minister of Torture, Snake, the Black Mage, Draven, Tyrion, Captain of the Anti-Immaculate Order Unit, and Special Advisor, Grut. However, there is still a seat unoccupied, and Lindell reveals that the last person is General Seth, who is currently on the front lines of the Atlas Mountains. Apparently, he is currently leading the army to victory against the ferocious Grey Orc clans. To show his exploit, Tyrion broadcasts Seth's location for them to see. Seth looks absolutely badass as he takes down the orcs like they are nothing. He is such a merciless warrior who doesn't hold back against the enemy. Even watching him operate alone sends chills down Kuroda and Grut's spines. Kuroda quickly suggests that they start the meeting without Seth. Kuroda then reveals that he gathered them for an important reason. While he is addressing the council, Tyrion leaves the war broadcast on, and they can see Seth trashing the enemy while cursing them out. Kuroda then reveals that their action is going to land a significant blow on the Immaculate Order, and this is because they are going after a white mage. Realizing that the broadcast is a distraction, Kuroda urges Tyrion to cut it. Snake then asks Kuroda if he has a specific target in mind. Deep down, Kuroda immediately switches to his bluffing mode. Kuroda confidently replies that he has someone in mind, and it is their plan to end the reign of the most evil white mage in history. Apparently, this white mage has committed so many atrocities that warriors even tremble at the mention of his name. It turns out that everyone at the table really hates the person Kuroda is talking about, and they are all gearing up to go. Kuroda then leaves them to say the name of the target, and in perfect sync, they all mention the same name, the merciless Canul. Kuroda then confirms this, telling the council that it is time for Canul to get exactly what he deserves. Grut then asks Kuroda what they are supposed to do about the bloody militia. Kuroda is confused about the question, and Grut mentions that the bloody militia are Canul's royal guard. Basically, they are the most feared mercenary group in the Western lands. Even with this, Kuroda doesn't seem to be worried. He then orders Grut to prepare the army because they are going to war. It turns out that Kuroda has been training for the past couple of weeks to make sure he is a bit prepared. And talking about Canul, he is living in a secluded castle that is surrounded by the bloody militia. Fortunately for Kuroda, Grut was able to gather all the demons who weren't on the expedition with Seth. Kuroda soon steps out of the castle, and Grut welcomes him, telling him that everything is ready. Kuroda stands on his balcony to have an overview of the army Grut has gathered. Surprisingly, Grut has created Mother's emblem to boost the warriors' morale. In fact, he didn't just stop there. He had the warriors engrave this emblem into their skin, and the army is all riled up, thanks to this. Kuroda is pretty much impressed by everything Grut has done so far. Shortly afterward, Kuroda and his army move into the western lands, which are Canul's territory. On the other hand, Canul appears to be aware of Kuroda's plot, and to add to the surprise, Canul knows of Kuroda's real identity. Later on at the demon encampment, Kuroda looks at the status window, and he is glad that he is prepared for the battle. Before coming to challenge Canul, he had made sure that he boosted his luck. Some weeks earlier, he snuck into the Dungeon of Torments, which is Snake's playground. There were thousands of prisoners there, and Kuroda freed all of them. This course of action then grants him a bunch of luck points, but Snake was pissed when she saw her beloved prisoners making a run for it without knowing who was responsible for it. Because of this good deed, Kuroda gathered 100,000 luck points, and she is confident that he has what it takes to defeat Canul. Not long after this, Tyrion starts complaining of boredom, suggesting that they get the siege over. Tyrion is worried that Grut will not come through, but Kuroda assures her that Grut will deliver. Just then, Grut appears from underground, holding 2 pieces of drilling equipment. It turns out that Grut has been able to dig a tunnel that leads straight to Canul's castle, and with this, they will be able to bypass Canul's defensive network. Grut is proud of himself, and he mentions that drilling is a goblin's specialty, which made it easy for him. They are still celebrating this when Snake comes forward to tell Kuroda that they have a problem. Apparently, the bloody militia already attacked the forward base. Basically, Canul is the first to make the first move. This immediately tells Kuroda that they need to get down to their plan as fast as possible. Kuroda orders Grut and Tyrion to follow him so that they can infiltrate using the tunnel. Kuroda lets Snake know that she is in command of the army until he comes back. He urges her to drive back the blood-stained militia, and Snake gladly accepts the responsibility. Basically, Snake has been eager to cause some destruction since she lost all of her prisoners, and this happens to present the best opportunity. Once they are in the tunnel, Grut leads the way with a torchlight attached to his helmet. Moments later, they emerge at Canul's residential district, and they are covered in mud. Since Canul's room is at the top of the tower, Kuroda and his advisors make a quick run for it, hoping to end everything before Canul even knows what hit him. Upon arriving at Canul's door, they barge into the room, expecting him to start shaking. However, Canul remains calm, and he even has a drink in his hand. Kuroda confidently tells the dude that his reign of terror is over, but Canul calmly replies that he was already expecting something like this, which was why he prepared beforehand. Suddenly, Kuroda and his advisors get trapped in a cage. However, Kuroda doesn't think this is a big deal because she is confident that such a small cage cannot do anything to him. Kuroda then tries to use his magic, but to his surprise, mana refuses to come out of his hand. This is when it dawns on Tyrion that they are currently in a force-sealing prison. Basically, anyone trapped inside is completely stripped of their magic. Canul laughs out loud because Kuroda got everything right. Tyrion then mentions that the cage is a supreme relic, which belongs to the white mages. Canul confirms this, saying he stole it when he was expelled from the Immaculate Order. Tyrion then tells Kuroda that they are screwed because they are at Canul's mercy. Since this is the case, Kuroda then tells Canul to kill him, and Canul accepts the request. Canul wastes no time cooking up an attack spell, and he hurls it right at them. Kuroda then activates the ultimate karma, granting him infinite luck. Just as the attack is about to hit, a chandelier crashes down, blocking the attack. Kanul is shocked when he sees this, and Kuroda mocks him for messing things up. Kanul is pissed that things didn't go his way, and he decides to take things to the extreme. Kanul then activates the multidimensional magic to show Kuroda's mother, while revealing the fact that he knows his true identity. Kanul reveals that he has been observing Kuroda for a long time. Apparently, he has a bat watching all of Kuroda's moves. Kanul says he saw Kuroda staring at his mother every day, and this is when it finally dawns on him that Kuroda is not from this planet. Kanul laughs wickedly, revealing his plan to target Kuroda's mother. Grut is surprised to see that Kanul actually saw through Kuroda's secret. However, Tyrion urges Kuroda not to panic because only the White Mage possesses the multidimensional magic that is powerful enough to cross worlds. She is confident that Kanul can't possibly get his hands on Kuroda's mother. This is when Kanul finally reveals that the seizure prison is not the only thing he stole from the White Mage. Kanul reaches into his pocket, revealing what else he stole. Since Tyrion is conversant with these kinds of things, she is confident that he knows what it means. Tyrion panics when she sees what Kanul is holding in his hands. Apparently, it is called the Phial of Passage, and it contains the blood of the White Mage. Whoever drinks the blood can temporarily cross between worlds, and the phials were supposed to have been destroyed. Kanul laughs wickedly as he reveals that one of the phials remained intact. He then drinks a portion of the blood, which immediately grants him access to the portal. Just as he is about to cross to the other side, he tells Kuroda to say his farewell because once he is done killing his mother, he is coming back to kill him. Fear grips Kuroda, and he screams at Kanul, begging him not to touch his mother. However, Kanul ignores him and walks straight to his mother. At the same time, Kuroda is wondering why the ultimate karma is not doing anything about what is happening. To make it worse, there are only 28 seconds left on the clock. Desperate, Kuroda grabs Tyrion, telling her to help save his mother. Even though she is willing to help, Tyrion reminds him that her current self cannot handle the multidimensional magic powerful enough to cross worlds. However, Kuroda keeps screaming at her, urging her to help him. Kuroda is so broken that he falls to his knees, urging Tyrion to help him out. Suddenly, Tyrion feels something shift inside her. In no time, she finds herself on Earth. She looks around and sees Kuroda when he is still young. Just as expected, Kuroda was a sweet kid who was working hard to buy his father a chocolate bar. Apparently, his father is in a tough state, but Kuroda was willing to help. After buying the chocolate bar, he places it in his father's bicycle carrier. This initially counted as a good deed for him, but because of his negative karma, everything ends up turning out for the worse. His father gladly took the chocolate bar and he headed out to work, but he ended up getting crushed to death right in front of Kuroda while he was still waving to his father. Even Tyrion is traumatized when she sees what happened to Kuroda as a kid. Not long after this, Kuroda's father is laid to rest, but he runs away from the procession, blaming himself for what happened to his father. He then runs into Tyrion, whom he starts begging to help save his mother because she doesn't want her to die because of him. Tyrion smiles at young Kuroda, assuring him that she's going to help him. By the time Tyrion returns to her normal self, she starts feeling a surge of power inside her. Even though she doesn't fully understand what is happening, she is sure of one thing, which is the fact that she can now do what Kuroda is asking of her. Tyrion's eyes start to glow, shocking Kuroda, and Tyrion ultimately activates the supreme multidimensional magic. Once she opens the portal, she urges Kuroda to go through quickly because she can't hold it for long. Kuroda tries to use the portal, but unfortunately, he is rejected because of his black magic constitution. Without hesitation, Grut offers to help, and he dives through the portal. Kanul is about to get to Kuroda's mother when Grut appears out of nowhere and kicks him right in the face, sending him flying into a car. Grut immediately jumps in front of Kuroda's mother, declaring his determination to protect the woman. The surrounding humans make a run for it when they see a goblin spawn out of thin air. On the other hand, Kuroda's mother remains motionless, and Grut urges the woman to calm down, telling her that he is the Black Mage's advisor who has been sent to protect her. Grut also lets Kanul know that any attempt to touch Kuroda's mother will cause them to cross paths. Kanul finally gets back on his feet, and he laughs at Grut, telling him that all he needs is a little blood. Back in the cage, the luck timer runs down, leaving Kuroda totally powerless. Since he is useless, he calls on Tyrion to cross dimensions to help Grut, but by the time he turns around, he realizes that Tyrion has passed out already because she exhausted herself. With this, Kuroda realizes that the only person he can rely on is Grut. Now on Earth, Kanul is pissed at the fact that Grut is stressing him. He raises his hand, ready to tear him apart with magic, but he is surprised when nothing happens. Grut makes fun of him, telling him that there is no magic on Earth, which means they are left with their physical strength. Grut then makes the first move, and he dashes at Kanul with his two swords in hand. He tries stabbing Kanul, but Kanul easily blocks his attack with his own sword. Kanul then cuts Grut in the chest before sending him flying into the distance. Grut crashes hard into the wall, leaving a cloud of dust. Kanul then walks up to Kuroda's mother with the intention of killing her because Kuroda invaded his lands. Kunul raises his sword to cut Kuroda's mother, but the woman protects herself by blocking the attack with the car's door. Kunul is impressed that the woman is acting strong, but at the same time, he is disappointed that Kuroda's mother is pretty weak. Kunul is having a laugh when the woman blinds him with a pepper spray, causing Kunul to scream out loudly. While Kunul is still screaming and crying about his eyes, Kuroda's mother screams at Grut, telling him to wake up. This voice sends echoes through Grut's head, and his subconscious self reminds him that he has to stay strong for his master because Kuroda is counting on him. Grut finally comes back to life, and the woman throws a telescopic baton to Grut, telling him to use it. Grut catches the baton and leaps toward Kunul with full strength. Kunul tries blocking, but the sheer strength of the baton causes him pain. To make it worse, Grut is pretty fast too. Just then, Kuroda's mother throws the pepper spray at Grut, telling him to use it too. Since he has no knowledge of what it is, Grut hits the can, ultimately shattering it. Kuroda's mother is left in shock because this is not what she meant, but the deed is done already. The pepper spray scatters everywhere, affecting both Grut and Kunul, causing them pain. However, Kunul is the first to recover, and he angrily kicks Grut to the ground. Kunul then creates another portal, ready to leave with the aim of returning later when he is more prepared. He brings out the phial and drinks some of the stored-up blood so he can cross through. Even though he is beaten up, Grut is not ready to give up. Suddenly, Grut turns around to see Kuroda's mother driving toward him at full speed. She avoids crushing him, and she grabs him, helping him grab onto the car. Before Kunul knows what is happening, he sees a car running towards him at full speed with Grut standing on top of the car. In no time, the car hits Kunul, sending him into the distance as he coughs up blood. Grut then leaps toward him, grabbing the phial because it is the only way for Kuroda to return to Earth. Grut consumes all the content inside the phial before leaping toward Kunul to stab him to death. Grut is able to push him through the portal while destroying his insides with his short swords. Grut looks absolutely badass as he declares that his master is out of bounds to trash like Kunul. Kuroda's mother finally gets out of the car, and she comes to the realization that everything that has happened so far is not a dream. She spots a scared young lad in the distance, recording the whole incident with his phone, and Kuroda's mother walks up to him. Kuroda's mother asks to see his phone, and when she realizes that he took a picture of the scene, she urges him to send the picture to him because she might just frame it, since it looks badass. Back on the fantasy planet, Snake informs Kuroda that the blood-soaked militia has surrendered since their master is dead. Luckily, the unit has sworn allegiance to Kuroda. Kuroda is impressed with Snake's tenacity, and he commends her. He then gives her one last task. He tells Snake to take Tyrion back to the castle so she can recover, since she exhausted all of her magic. Just then, Kuroda addresses his army, and he lets them know that they are able to achieve victory because of one particular individual, and this person is none other than his special advisor, Grut. The whole legion screams out when they hear this as they cheer for Grut. Kuroda then kneels in front of Grut, thanking him for his help, while also calling him his friend. After this, Kuroda tells Grut that it is time they head to Talcum's palace to deliver Cannel's body. However, Grut is too dumbstruck to move for a couple of minutes because he can't believe that Kuroda actually called him his friend. Grut ultimately declares that he is having the best of his day. Not long after this, they arrive at Talcum's place and they are given a grand welcome just like before. Kuroda drops Kunul's body on the floor, telling Talcum that he has what he needs for the elixir. Talcum is impressed when he realizes that Kuroda actually went after the toughest opponent and was able to defeat him. Talcum commends Kuroda, saying his reputation speaks for itself. Kuroda then asks Talcum if he already has everything he needs for the elixir, and Talcum confirms this. However, he urges Kuroda to give him a few hours to complete the elixir, which will rid Kuroda of the black magic within him. Kuroda is surprised that Talcum is asking for nothing in return, and Talcum replies that being able to save a friend is sufficient reward for him. Talcum then orders his special goblin squad to take Cannel's body to his laboratory so that the preparations can begin. Later on, Kuroda and Grut are seen walking through Talcum's palace. Kuroda is excited for the purification to be complete so he can finally access the multi-dimensional magic. Kuroda then mentions the goblins from earlier, talking about how tough they look. Grut confirms this, saying they are called the Four Calamities because they are the most powerful warriors of the Drogal tribe. Apparently, their names come from the sound of bones being crushed by their jaws. Grut reveals that the Drogal tribe has brought most rival clans under their control, making them the strongest among the goblins. However, Grut boasts about his own clan, saying that they are different, which is why they are an exception. Suddenly, they hear a kind of noise from one of the rooms behind them. The two then decide to investigate, but upon entering they find no one inside. Kuroda refuses to believe that there is nothing in the room, and he activates his magic to reveal whatever is being hidden in the room. Grut quickly figures out that they are in Talcum's office. He believes that there is going to be a hidden passage somewhere, and thanks to Kuroda's magic, he is able to pick out the triggering mechanism, which is a book. Just then, the access to the secret passage reveals itself, and Kuroda tells Grut to follow him. However, he urges him to be careful because he can sense an incredible amount of black magic coming from the basement. Moments later, they arrive at the basement to find something gruesome and totally unexpected. In the basement are hundreds of goblins being put under inhumane experiments to change their constitution. Grut is left dumbfounded when he spots a female goblin that he knows, and this discovery sends a chilly feeling down his spine.